There are moments in life when you feel so small, so broken, so utterly alone that you wonder if God has forgotten you. You're not where you planned to be. You've lost what you thought was yours, forever. And as you stand in the dust of your ruins, gleaning in the fields of someone else's harvest, you whisper a question that echoes through the hollow spaces of your heart. Does anyone see me? Does God still have a plan for someone like me? But what if I told you that right now, in this exact moment of your deepest despair, God is working in ways you cannot yet see? What if your lowest point isn't the end of your story? What if it's the beginning of your greatest redemption? The story of Ruth is not just a historical account written in ancient scriptures. It's a mirror held up to your own pain. It speaks to everyone who has ever felt displaced, forgotten, or cast aside by circumstance. Maybe you've lost a job and feel the weight of financial uncertainty pressing down on your chest. Maybe you've experienced a loss so profound that you don't recognize your own life anymore. Maybe you're in a season where everything feels foreign, where you're walking through a world that doesn't feel like home, and you're wondering if you'll ever belong to something beautiful again. Ruth's story is for you because it reveals one of the most transformative truths about God's character. He does not abandon. He does not forget, and he especially does not forget the ones who feel forgotten. Picture Naomi and Ruth on the roads of Moab, trudging toward Bethlehem with nothing but the clothes on their backs, and grief that weighs more than stone. Naomi's husband is dead. Her sons are dead. Ruth is a foreigner in a land that isn't hers, a widow stripped of the social position and protection that marriage once provided. In that culture, a widow without a son to care for her was as vulnerable as a bird without wings. There was no safety net, no government assistance, no promise of tomorrow. Ruth must have felt the crushing weight of her situation every single morning when she woke up. She had to go into the fields to glean, to collect the leftover grain that the harvesters left behind. This wasn't charity. This was survival. She bent her back in the hot sun, gathering scraps, competing with other poor women for the fragments others deemed worthless. And here's what breaks your heart open. Ruth did this with dignity. She didn't become bitter. She didn't give up. She didn't sink into the despair that would have been so easy to surrender to. Instead, she made a choice that changed everything. She told Naomi, "Where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." Think about that. She made a covenant with Naomi and with Naomi's God in the midst of absolute desolation. She didn't have a 5-year plan. She didn't have certainty. She had nothing except faithfulness and willingness to show up every single day, even when she didn't know how the story would end. What Ruth didn't know as she bent in those fields, what we often don't know in our own seasons of gleaning, is that someone was watching. Boaz, the owner of the fields, saw her. He saw her work ethic. He saw her character. He saw her faithfulness, even in the context of her powerlessness. The scripture tells us that Boaz was a man of great wealth and noble character, and he took notice of Ruth precisely because she showed up with integrity when she could have given up. This is the profound mystery of God's provision. It often arrives through the very circumstances that feel like punishment. Ruth's lowest moment, gleaning in someone else's field, was where her redemption began. She was not humiliated by her circumstances. She was refined by them. And in the midst of her faithfulness, God was orchestrating something she couldn't have imagined. Boaz didn't just offer her employment, he offered her protection. He offered her belonging. He offered her love. And through their union came a son, Obed, who was the grandfather of King David, which means Ruth became part of the lineage of Jesus himself. Think about that. A foreign woman, a widow, a gleaner, someone the world had marked as insignificant. She became an ancestor of the Messiah. Her despair did not disqualify her from God's greatest plans. It prepared her for them. It shaped her character. It humbled her. It opened her heart to see and receive grace in ways that someone living in comfort and security might never understand. Here's where your story intersects with Ruth's. You are not behind because you're in the valleys. You're not forgotten because you feel small. Your lowest moment is not a sign of God's absence. It's a sign of His presence, working in ways that are often invisible to you until much later, when you turn around and see the full picture of what He was doing all along. The beauty of Ruth's story is that she never knew she was being set up for her greatest blessing. She just showed up. She did the work. She remained faithful. She extended kindness and grace even when she had every reason not to. And then, at just the right moment, a moment orchestrated by the hand of God, her life transformed. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's God. And that same God is working in your life right now, even in the seasons when you can't see it, when you feel like you're just gleaning scraps from life and wondering if there's anything more. The profound realization that Ruth eventually comes to is this: she was never invisible to God. She was never alone. She was never forgotten. And neither are you. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever field you're gleaning in, whatever loss you're grieving, know this: God is watching. He sees your faithfulness in the hard moments. He notices when you show up with integrity, even when you want to collapse. He's working behind the scenes in ways that will only make sense when you look back from the other side of your transformation. Your despair is not your destiny. Your lowest moment is where God's greatest provision begins. The question isn't whether God remembers you. The question is whether you're willing to keep showing up, keep being faithful, keep extending grace, even when you can't see how the story ends. Because the moment you surrender to that kind of faith, that's when everything changes. You are not behind. You are being prepared. And your redemption is closer than you think.